Hello, booktube. This is Aaron from Aaron Read a Book or Aaron Read a Book. Unbelievably with another video. I think this is my third video in 4 days, so it must be an all-time record for me. About 2 years ago, I was watching Alice from Alice and the Giant Bookshelf, who sadly passed away now, and I'm sure you all miss her channel as much as I do. But she was doing a book haul in Rochester, in Kent, at a place called Baggins Book Bazaar. And I remember looking it up at the time and thinking, this place claims to be the biggest secondhand bookshop in England. I don't know if it's true, but they say it is, and I can confirm it's massive. But I remember looking it up at the time and seeing it was only like one train away from my house, 50 minutes, which is less than my commute to work. So I thought, well, I've got to go to this place, and I've been putting it off for ages and ages and ages. And then about 2 weeks ago, Gavin from Genre Books also did a haul there, and I thought, well, I really do have to go now. And one of the prompts for Shorty September is paper bag shorts, which is buy a book and read it. Bonus points if it comes in a paper bag, and it did come in a paper bag. So we'll go through the Baggins ones last, but there's an Oxfam bookshop next door to it, and Gavin said in his video that it's quite expensive in Baggins, and it is quite expensive, so I've stuck to the paperbacks for there, but there were some amazing hardback books in there. I'll try and put a little video I took in there at the end, but I'm rubbish at blogging or vlogging, and I took like 20 seconds of a video, and I also went to the cathedral and the castle as Gavin and Alice did, and I'll leave links to their videos below because they're better vlogs. But yeah, if I can work out how to splice it in, I'll put it in at the end. But I went next door to the Oxfam bookshop after and tried to pick up some stuff as well, so we'll go through those first. First book I got was Decline and Fall by Even War. I have read this before, about, I don't know, it must have been about 17-18 years ago now. It was when I was at university, I think. And I remember not liking it very much at the time, or not liking it as much as I think I'd read another Evelyn Waugh and preferred it. From what I remember, this is a very personal sort of story to him, and it's basically based on his own school days and his upbringing and stuff. It's his first novel, so it should be. I think it might have been a bit over my head at the time, so I'd be interested to read it again. And I just couldn't resist this cover. It's lovely, lovely Penguin classic. And I've got quite a few Penguin classics, I'm not gonna lie. Next we've got a book I saw on booktube recently, Shardik, I think it's pronounced, which by Richard Adams. I read Watership Down a few years ago, and I absolutely loved it. I thought it was a brilliant book, and much. I guess I never thought of reading it because the cartoon from the 80s or 90s was so traumatizing when I was a kid. But this is another animal based book by him about a giant bear. So, and again, this cover is pretty hard to resist, so it looks really cool. If you've read that one, let me know. Next, another one that I saw this, and then I thought, oh, I'm not going to get that, and I said it was only £1, and it's The Railway Children by E. Nesbitt, and it's got the film cover, which a lot of people loved that film when they were kids. I remember it was always on at Christmas, but I can't remember if I ever watched it all the way through. but it's got a very young Jenny Agatha there. And I opened this up and just I need to cover part of it up because it's got their telephone in it. But I like it. It's got this book belongs to Jill Driscoll. And it's got their address in Birmingham and their phone number here, but it probably doesn't work anymore. I imagine it's quite an old address because this is a sort of 1970s edition. Or maybe is it 1970s? Yeah, it must be. That's when the film was out. But I like this. I've not seen this sort of stylized writing on it. So it's a puffin, but on a penguin book before. But that, yeah, again, another one for £1. Couldn't say no. Now there is a famous writer who is associated with Rochester, and it's a writer that I have not necessarily got on very well with in the past, but I do think I've made bad decisions when it comes to him. And I thought When in Rome, and he is a Victorian, and that is of course Charles Dickens. I don't know why it's so shiny. I'm trying to get the shine off. There was loads of Charles Dickens knocking around in these shops, but I thought I'll get Little Dora because I've remember Katie from Books and Things mentioning this one, and I think she likes it. But it's chunky. This guy couldn't keep it down, could he? He's always scribbling away. But this is one of his later ones, so I've heard good things about his later works. Rather than his earlier ones, so I'll give this a go one day. Probably not this October because it would take me forever. But if you've read Little Dora and it's one of your favourites, let me know. If you've read Little Dora and it was rubbish, also let me know. And the last one I got from the Oxfam bookshop was just a very new looking edition of David Brin's Sundiver. I don't particularly like this cover. It's really weird, but that it's very good condition. And I've read the sequel to this, which is called Startide Rising, which is about space dolphins, and it's amazing. And this is the first in the Uplift ones. They're not. You don't have to read them in order or anything, I don't think, but they're about uplifting species to intelligence. So the space dolphins being a good example. I don't know what animals this one's about. Mankind has reached the stars and age, and now the greatest mystery of all may be explained. Doesn't say. But I'm sure that it's going to involve some sort of intelligent animals, which is always fun in sci-fi. Now, onto the paper bag. When I was getting these books, I didn't think about shorties at all. I thought, even though that was the whole idea of the trip, but I think 2 of them do qualify as shorties. So I wanted to, when I'm in a shop like that has this amazing, I'll try and put a picture of the science fiction section there, but it had an amazing science fiction section. And when I'm in a shop like that where it's quite expensive for a secondhand bookshop, although the paperbacks weren't too bad, I want to focus on getting vintage kind of editions rather than anything new. So I avoided getting anything too new. And I've ended up getting quite Gavin books, some genre books. So this first one, for example, is an author I see on his shelves quite a lot. And it's Philip Jose Farmer. I don't know if it's Philip Jose. And it's To Your Scattered Bodies Go. I really like the sound of this. This is the first in the series, and it's about the afterlife. So it's about this person, Sir Richard Francis Burton, the translator of the Arabian Nights, explorer, brawler, scholar, womanizer, adventurer. Very interesting life. His quest to discover the end of the river. So when people die, they travel down a river and they're reborn in this other place or something like that. And it's got real life people in it. So it's got Alice Hargreaves, the real life model for Alice in Wonderland, and stuff like that. And this is the start of a series. Can't keep getting shines on the book, but yeah, sounds interesting. Gavin, if you've read this one, I'm sure you have. Let me know, and anyone else. But yeah, I always see his name on Gavin's shelves, and I've never read any of his stuff before, and it's a nice pamphlet edition. Next, we've got another first of series, but sphere, and that is Tactics of Mistakes. Tactics of Mistake, Gordon R. Dixon. Now, I used to work right next door to a brilliant secondhand bookshop, and I used to go in at least once a week, and they always had loads of the series. I think it's only a trilogy actually, but they always had Dorsai or the other one, and I'd never found the first one, so I never bothered buying them. But this Baggins had all three of them, and I had several editions of some of them, so I finally picked up the first one, and this is about some sort of ultimate warrior squad. The fighting soldiers, and the finest fighting soldiers in the universe, mercenary troops without equal. So yeah, sounds interesting, and I do like the cover. They look like the Black Knight from the Holy Grail, Monty Python, but they've still got their arms and legs. But I'm sure if someone chopped their arms and legs off, they would continue fighting, because they're the ultimate sort of warriors of the universe. The next book is an author that I always look for straight away in every secondhand bookshop, and who I always bang on about, and that's Elizabeth Jane Howard. And this time I've got a nicer cover though than the last one I got, which looked like a 80s TV show. Well, it was an 80s TV adaptation. This one's called The Beautiful Visit, and I quite like this. I think it's quite effective, almost Victorian looking woman on there. And I don't really know what this one's about. It's on the eve of an unusual voyage, a young woman reviews her life. Her story begins with a beautiful visit to friends in the country, which, offering a contrast to the monotony of her home and family, serves as an awakening experience and an introduction to a new world. So if you've read the Caslett Chronicles, their countryside visits are very big part of that, so that'd be interesting. Yeah, this is an old one, but yeah, another Elizabeth Jane Howard for the collection. Got only one left. Yeah, that was 4 books I got from. Yeah, 4 books I got from Baggins. So on to the last one, and this is another one I see Gavin talking about a lot as well, and it's E. Doc Smith's. I think Gareth from Book Songs and Other Magic also likes him, and this is the Skylock of Space, which is the first in the Skylock series, and this apparently is a very sort of monumental work of science fiction, because it's one of the very early attempts at space opera. So I was looking for the Lensman series ones as well, because they had loads of E. Doc Smith, but they didn't have the first one. They only had the first one of this series, and they had loads of his stuff in there. But this is in really good condition, an old Panther. Let's see when it's from. This is not 1950. Oh no, sorry, 1974. So it's a yeah, nice 70s one. So that's my little haul from Baggins Book Bazaar. So I guess of those 4 that I got from there, this Skylock of Space is only like 200 pages. Yeah, under 200 pages. And To Your Scattered Bodies Go, which I think I'm quite excited about this one. I might read this one first. This is 200 pages as well. The Elizabeth Jane Howard's 370 pages, so that doesn't count. And the Tactics of Mistake is just is under 250, so also counts. So, and they all came in a paper bag, so that's my haul, and some nice penguins and stuff from Oxfam as well. Let me know, BookTube, if you've read any of these books. Let me know if you've ever been to Baggins. I'll try and add about 20 seconds of rubbish video I took, and maybe I'll put some pictures throughout of the cathedral, maybe, if I can work out how to do things, and the castle. But yeah, that's just a quick little book haul. Have a good one, BookTube. Bye.